Is it cringe? Or are you a little judgmental?
I don't want nobody listening. I see the whole precision. You was my only decision. Ain't got no money back calling me splurge. I'm in jump right on the curb. Bitch, my fly like a bird. Spin on the first and the third.
I'm the first lady. They keep it like here.
Let's talk about what it means to be a narcissist.
So I just came back from New York Fashion Week, and amongst all the things I love about New York, the fashion, the food, I just freaking love how a 0.8-mile Uber costs $43.90, and I had to walk 0.5 miles of it because traffic was moving 1 inch per minute. Now, why did I Uber such a short distance is besides the point, but since you're so nosy, it's because I was carrying a lot of things. No dead bodies, I promise. My haters just naturally disintegrate into thin air. Which is why I love taking the subway. It's quick, easy, fast, and quick. Plus, you'll get the real city experience, like observing the hustling and sometimes cute finance guys, the tourists figuring out the direction, and tube girls. Even when I hop off the train, I'm telling you, tube girls are everywhere. They pop open on my TikTok, on Instagram, on my next train, on the next plane. I'm not saying that just to rhyme. Dude, I mean, even if you live under a rock, look closer and you'll find her. And so today, let's talk about Miss Tube Girl. Why do some people love her? Why do some people dislike her trend? And the ultimate question, is the tubification of our reality a good thing? Are we living in the midst of a cringe culture? Or worse, a narcissism epidemic?
Cuteness overload.
Who is Tube Girl? Tube Girl, aka Sabrina Bassoon, rose to TikTok fame after a self-filmed video of her exuding confidence using the 0.5 lens on her phone while riding London's underground train, aka the Tube. The video went viral, over 724,000 likes and 30,000 shares, whereas the dance popped off as a trend that itself has over 487 million views on TikTok. And influencers such as Bella Poarch were quick to join the trend. How the video originated is actually a very cute and relatable story. Sabrina says that she had a TikTok idea and asked another passenger to help her film it, quote, and you straight up just said no, she says. Quote, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this alone. I want to make this video. And so she did. The 11-second clip took off. Like anything that goes viral, there are a lot of supporters seeing the positives, but also a lot of critical voices on the internet. So let's take a look at both sides, and then I will give you my take on the situation. Upsides. Let's start with the upsides because the vast majority of the responses are positive. Quote, social anxiety is afraid of you, girl, says one commenter. Quote, it's the camera work, the hair, the wind, every single thing is 10 out of 10. Quote, I'm anxious to even scratch an itch in public. How? Indeed, for a lot of people, the reason that the video stood out is because how it defies social anxiety. For a lot of people, doing anything in the public that draws attention to themselves will give them anxiety. So a lot of admiration is present online for the Tube Girl for doing a whole choreograph in a crowded train while filming herself. I personally can speak to this because for the longest time, I could not vlog in public. I just couldn't. I get so wrapped up in my head about how I will be judged, even though nobody gives a single damn. And that brings up my second point. It inspires others to be more expressive and care less about their internal projections of how others will judge them. The trend embraces being your most confident self, which is why millions of TikTok users are now joining the trend on subways, trains, buses, and even rocks. And third, it's fun, okay? Not everything has to be dead serious or serve a grand purpose. If it makes a dull commute more fun, those who get it also have fun. And if it's not hurting anybody else in the process, I personally think it's okay. And this is where it gets potentially tricky, because this is where some people argue that yes, people are getting compromised in the process. So let us talk about the downsides: double standards, public etiquette, and the debate between confidence versus narcissism. Tubing too hard, the negative reactions. There's a lot to unpack related to the negative reactions to this trend, mainly because of how nuanced this topic is and how it varies so much on a case-by-case basis. So let us talk about public etiquette first. A lot of the negative voices relate to how dancing and filming in a public space, especially one that is key to many timely commutes, is not proper public etiquette. This is understandable given how the space is communal and shouldn't be just serving one single person. If people don't want to be blocked off, if they don't want to be in the background, it's completely understandable how the trend could cause extra distress. This is obviously a case-by-case situation, but my mind wants to believe that most creators' intentions are not to cause distress and are willing to reshoot or blur out the faces. Number 2, double standards. This one's going to cause some heated debate. I just know it. A lot of people are saying how it's double standards because it is cringe and lack of self-awareness until a hot person does it. When a pretty girl is dancing in public, everyone is hyping her up for giving confidence. But when someone is homeless, poor, not thin, not conventionally attractive, they'll be stigmatized or even criminalized for drawing attention to themselves on public transport. This, to some extent, is sad and true. The code to what and who can do what in the public space is very nuanced and sometimes illogical. But my take on this is that the problem is not loving the tube girl, but not giving enough love and understanding to the underserved people. You don't need to hate one just to love the other. Abundance mindset. Number 3, confidence versus narcissism.
Truly confident people don't need validation from others. It's the ego that needs the attention and the validation. And that's why insecurities are always loud, because it's the ego talking.
Let's talk about what it means to be a narcissist. They don't feel loved. They don't understand what it's like to feel love. They don't understand how to give love. But what they have learned to do is protect that fragile, frail ego that they have by cheating, manipulating, gaslighting, lying.
This one is also a little controversial. A comment I read online said, "The tube girl trend is problematic because it shows that your confidence and hotness does not exist unless it's out there in the public and on social media for people to see, where this generation of the internet is all about manufacturing confidence." So I agree and disagree. I do think that in the era of TikTok, a lot of the confidence captured or trending might not be 100% authentic and could be based on external factors. For true confidence exists when the camera is both on and off. That doesn't necessarily mean that I think it's a bad idea to grow your confidence through social media, for confidence is a practice of actions. Now, this could get very toxic if your confidence becomes rooted in external validations from social media. That's a different discussion. But my point is, just because true confidence comes from within does not mean you need to hide it from the external world. But because everyone is chronically online and has a presence on social media today, we often confuse confidence with narcissism, both of which are prevalent. True confidence means feeling sure of yourself and your abilities, not in an arrogant way, but in a realistic, secure way. Confidence isn't about feeling superior to others. It's a quiet inner knowledge that you are capable. Whereas narcissism, aka narcissistic personality disorder, is a mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They need and seek too much attention and want people to admire them, lack the ability to understand or care about the feelings of others. And behind this mask of extreme confidence, they are not sure of their self-worth and are easily upset by the slightest criticism. So to summarize this huge blurb from Mayo Clinic, the key distinguisher is that narcissism means you lack empathy, the ability to connect with others. And despite appearing super confident, a narcissist is not confident at all. They actually care deeply about how others think of them. The narcissism epidemic. And so the big question is, are we in the midst of a narcissism boomer era? And if so, what does this mean for all of us? Well, according to the data, it's not looking too bright. For the past 20 years, psychologist Jean Twenge has been tracking the generational changes of narcissism. Twenge found that scores on a clinical measure of narcissism increased by 30% in the US between the late 1970s and the mid-2000s. One of the statements used as a measurement tool in her analysis was, quote, "I am important and famous." In the 60s, around 12% of young people endorsed it. By the 90s, that number increased to 80%. One of the key facets of narcissism is grandiose exhibitionism, which is characterized by self-absorption and self-promotional impulses. Both things are well suited for our increasingly digital world. More than anyone else, narcissistic individuals feel the need to be the center of attention, even if that means engaging in inappropriate, awkward, or eccentric interpersonal behaviors. This makes anyone who uses social media almost a little narcissistic. For heck, we're in the age that embraces self-expression. But before you start calling everyone you see on the internet a narcissist, again, this is not an easy black and white dilemma. Maybe we all exhibit a little bit of narcissistic traits when we embrace our uniqueness and affirm our self-importance online. But good news, it does not fundamentally make us narcissists. Like if you make a tube girl TikTok because you want to show off your hotness or your cool dance moves while not hurting anyone, that does not ultimately make you narcissistic. Because if you're doing it for yourself, you're not going to feel like you've reached the top of the world when you hit millions of views, or like a piece of trash when it gets no views. Your day isn't made or broken by strangers on a tube or the internet. But only the person doing it will know their true intentions and how their self-worth has been impacted, okay? So I don't think myself or anyone has the right to judge. If someone is doing a dance on the tube, on the street, on the Swiss Alps and enjoying themselves, by all means, I am happy for them. This does not mean I have the urge to join them, but major slay, enjoy their lives. Do I think our culture is becoming more narcissistic? Yes. Do I think our culture is becoming more judgmental and quick to call others narcissist? Also, yes. On the premise of not violating anybody else, I'm not saying we all need to be cheerleaders, but I feel like we could try and be a little more accepting. That's all I have to say. My brain hurts a little by how nuanced this discussion is, but let me know your thoughts on the tube girl trend and if you think we are in the middle of a narcissism epidemic. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you always. And if you're new here, I make a lot of commentary and growth related videos. Check them out and I will see you next week.